FLA mercenaries in the Sahel continues to follow the now futile pathway of installing the improvised explosive devices in routes used by Malian civilians. But thanks to the prompt response of the engineering reconnaissance team of the Russian African Corps of the Russian Armed Forces, who destroyed the improvised explosive device using the detonation code. Kindly hit the like button and tell us where you're joining this stream from. Hence, it is hypocritical that the FLA continues to try to harm Malian civilians while claiming that Turkey is selling weapons to Mali to harm Muslims. The question is, what was the essence of planting IED on civilian roads? Are Malian civilians not Muslims? Even if the FLA claims that the ISA JNIM creation, the question is, are the FLA and JNIM not under the same banner?
Today we are going to be talking about 5 important reasons, very, very imminent reason why the JNIM cannot hold Kidal. You know, based on the information we have right now, the Russian African Corps have been able to move in very, very close to the central Kidal region. Today we have a lot of detonation of improvised explosive devices in the Kidal region. So what we have right now in central Kidal is a situation where a lot of the FLA fighters are falling by the day. And because they are falling by the day, at least we've been telling a lot of people on this platform, the Android community, that the FLA are losing a lot of fighters. And yesterday the proof came out, when we showed you the video where the FLA were crying to their Western proxies that Turkey was selling a superior capability that have limited the chance of the FLA on the line of contact as Mali continue to reconquer a lot of their territories. And this time around, they are not just reconquering the territory. We are not counting the territory that have been reconquered by the Malian armed forces by square kilometers. We are counting by the bodies of the FLA this time around. You get what I mean? By the bodies of the FLA and the JNIM. So what we have today is the Russian African Corps removing more than 7 improvised explosive devices on the way between Gao to Kidal to Ageok. And the reason is because the FLA is anticipating an imminent incursion by the Malian armed forces into central Kidal. If you look at some of the military bases right now, it's very, very empty. The FLA are waiting for the Malian armed forces to move into central Kidal with mechanized infantry battalion. But that is not happening anytime soon. Family, I want you to pardon me today. I've not been feeling too well, and she's taking over the live stream. I just said I should. It is very, very important to give this information because it is coming out now, and we have some new intelligence coming out about the situation in Kidal. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the likes. If you hit the like button, we'll get more views, and this video will get to a lot of people that the information is supposed to get to. So what we have in Mali right now, when you look at the IED, given the number of JNIM, FLA surveillance personnel that have been deleted by the Malian armed forces, and also given the number of IEDs that the Malian armed forces and the Russian African Corps allied forces continue to destroy in Mali, one will ask the critical question: what is still the point in applying this asymmetric methodology on the line of contact against a superior conventional force that have been able to circumnavigate their way around this asymmetric capability, which is the IED? It was previously the most effective capability of the FLA and the JNIM. Not anymore in Mali. The Malians have been able to improvise, adapt, and overcome. Now, the engineering units of the Malian armed forces and the Russian African Corps, they go on their own independent surveillance mission to remove all these capabilities so that when the mechanized infantry battalions are moving, they can move at very, very good speed. Now, what we have is the FLA. Now, if they cannot target the military, you ask a very, very important question. Who are they trying to target with this improvised explosive device? I know a lot of you have seen videos. For some that have been following up independently. I know you must have been seeing videos of you know, improvised explosive devices that have been harming civilian convoys. Recently in Mali, about 5 civilians, they lost their lives. Why? When they ran into one of these improvised explosive devices, but not in the Kidal region actually. So what we call this now is called soft targeting by the FLA. The sound is low. Are you serious? I think my sound is high. My sound is low, right? I don't think it's the mic. I don't think it's the microphone actually. Can you hear me now?
And can you hear me?
I don't know if it's because of my health. Maybe that's why my sound is not very high. I'm not really feeling too fine today. It's fine. Thank you so much, family. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, family. I just said I should. I've not been really. I've not been well for a while now. But I just said I should do the best I can do. So this is called soft targeting, and you soft target when your attempts to win a war is no longer working the way you want it to. So the essence of soft targeting is a way of mentally, you're trying to tell yourself that you are still doing something, but you are no longer doing anything. So what they're doing now is to harm the Malian civilians. And the reason why they are harming the Malian civilians are multifaceted. Okay? Oh, thank you so much, brother, for joining the live stream. So they're harming the civilians, number one, to cause civilian dissent in Mali. Maybe the civilian can rise up against the government and say that, oh, the government can no longer take care of them or something, and they can no longer be on top, or they can no longer manage the security situation. That's number one. Number two, the reason why they are targeting the civilians in Mali is to create a situation where the civilians would go, like, out of fear. The civilians will start working under their command, like we've seen from Bina Diara. Another thing is the reason why they are soft targeting is because they can no longer control the escalation in Mali. So because most of the time the Malian armed forces and the Russian African Corps end up destroying these capabilities that the terrorists have always used. Well, I think this is one of the biggest flaws, which is supposed to be their strength right now in Mali. Right now, another thing is the artisanal mine. I think day before yesterday, we posted a video here where you saw the Malian armed forces launching laser-guided precision targeted strike on some artisanal mines inside Mali. Now, you see, for every strike in Mali on artisanal mines, all right, yeah, I'm not really feeling too well, so I have some things on me, so I can't really show up today, but yeah, just try to manage it like this. So the artisanal mines, right? Um, the Malians have been able to shut out this financial logistic capability of the enemy. Even in Burkina Faso, you can see that recently Burkina Faso shut out some elements from artisanal mining field in their country. So the Alliance of Sahel State have been able to realize that these artisanal mines is a sort of parallel financial logistic capability for the enemies. If you look at the operation in the Sahel, the enemies don't really kidnap Malians to get ransom. No, they only do it when they are working with external agents. You understand? What they are doing in Mali is the money they get from the illegal mining is so enormous. And that is why they have been able to get some foreign support and some of the capabilities they've been able to get, like FPV drones and all of those things. The Ukrainians are not giving them those capabilities because the Ukrainians love them. No, it is because they can pay for it. And the billion-dollar question is, how are they being able to pay for these things? And part of the reason is because they can afford it through these illegal mining operations. Now, one will ask, these capabilities that is being given to the FLA is supposed to be free. According to the information we have, right? I'm not seeing you. Yeah.
That's because I'm the face of today's video. Sorry.
So the reason why the FLA, don't see it as a support is because the FLA believe that they have autonomy over the Kidal region. They believe that they can enforce it. So it is because of this reason that the FLA, they don't want a full support. A lot of people from the outside think that these Western countries are supporting them completely. No. The FLA have been carrying out these illegal operations in the Kidal region for a long time. So they are saying we don't want free service. Because you know what free service does to you? When you are finally free and you think you have sovereignty, free service is what end up destroying your sovereignty at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, if you end up prevailing, that is in a fantasy world, right? And you've gotten free support from people in the past, people who are more stronger than you. They will come in, and for every services they've offered you in the past, they will want to have some level of bargain when it comes to the resources that you have. So the FLA believes that they can match the intensity of this war, which is very, very high intensity at this point. It's unlike the type of wars that have been fought in Mali. The last time we saw this type of war was in 2012. And the war that was spearheaded by General Assimi Goïta when he was a lieutenant colonel in the Malian army under the previous president. During I think the second Tuareg rebellion. That rebellion was completely crushed by Assimi Goïta and his combatants. That was the last time we saw this level of intensity. But right now in Mali, we now have the war being fought at a whole nother level, where you have the drones being incorporated in form of UAVs, FPV, fiber optic. You have drop missiles that deploy drop technology for me. The FLA equally use drones against the Malian armed forces and the Russian African Corps in the Sevare base and the Kidal base. That was on the April 25. And the Malians realized that there is no point in sitting on the defensive. We have to go el mano, el mano. Let's meet ourselves on the line of contact. I believe you all have seen that the Malians are no longer keeping defensive positions. It's all out war at this point. And the FLA cannot keep up because this negotiation is not done, it's not being carried out on an equal footing. What we have in Mali right now is the Malian armed forces launching multiple precision targeted strikes. Sometimes the drone carries out the initial strike, continues with the ISR operation, then they send in the Malian Apache helicopters to complete the job. Sometimes it's the Baraktia Akinci, sometimes it's the Baraktia TB2, sometimes it's the Thai Aksongo from Niger performing the ISR, and sometimes it's the Orion Kronstadt from the Russian African Corps. And when you look at the area photography or the area videography of some of the reconnaissance and offensive operation from the Russian African Corps, you will discover that the features are different. So that is because the Russian African Corps are now deploying the Orion Kronstadt. Now they are having breaks in between operations. But right now in Mali, there is a non-stop military operation, most especially in the Kidal region. Now, if the FLA, now let's try to look at the FLA's mindset right now. Anybody in the FLA's position right now cannot rest. because you don't just know you don't know when the next strike is going to come, and you don't know who will be the victim of that strike. We've seen some fortress in Kidal being flattened completely. These are reinforced fortress with several layers of concrete, where the FLA felt like, no, this place was not going to be flattened out. We've seen the apartment of the governor of Kidal, General Gamu, right? The Malian armed forces flattened it out, even if it was a government building. And that was where the son of Bilal Aga Sharif was staying. It was neutralized. So at this point, it is becoming a bloody offensive. What you saw on April 25, yeah, was a serious escalation. But what we have right now is a different level of counter-escalation from the Malian armed forces. Why the Malian armed forces and their partners continue to dictate the terms on the line of contact. Now you can see that the FLA have, they've been shouting. We've been saying these things, over time. But a lot of people are looking at it that, where are we getting this information from? One of the informations was what I gave yesterday. The FLA is on the back foot. Now, the FLA are claiming that they are civilians. That is the latest information we have right now. The FLA are claiming that they are civilian, that they are Muslims in Mali. If you listen to the information of the FLA yesterday, that was what they are claiming, that the Malian armed forces and the Russian African Corps are harming civilians in Mali, Muslim civilians. But ladies and gentlemen, can the FLA reverse their statement? They said they are now working in coalition with the JNIM, which is a known Al-Qaeda affiliate in the Sahel that harms civilians who are equally Muslims. You see, this is the big plot. And the recent visit of General Abdurrahmani Chiani to Turkey, to Istanbul, was another big twist, because General Abdurrahmani Chiani they equally had bilateral discussions about the escalation in Mali, which the Turkish nation pledged their support for as long as the Malian armed forces need it and the AES forces. And the FLA, knowing this, is now why you are having this recent cry. So what are you going to say about that? Can we say that the FLA are civilians? At the end of the video, he said, even if the FLA are terrorists, he said, what does the international law say about that? Ladies and gentlemen, what they are trying to say is that, okay, if they are not even being considered as civilians, is there no Aleppo? Can't they give them a humanitarian corridor to get their men out of Kidal safely? The Malian armed forces have said there will be no negotiation. So the question is, what do you think? Do you think the Malians should negotiate, or this should be an all-out, wipe-out operation? So that's where we are at right now. So, yeah, you can continue.
In the Nayono vicinity, the joint maneuver of the Malian army and the Russian African Corps engaged a group of JNIM mercenaries in a close combat operation, neutralizing some of them, while some of the elements fled the battlefield with various degrees of injuries.
So this was an operation that happened in the Niono region today in Mali, where the Malian armed forces confronted the JNIM. The JNI were trying to play asymmetry, but they did not know that the Malian armed forces, while conducting their ISR combat operation, they've already spotted the JNI gathering. So to avoid collateral damage, they had to send in their infantry. And ladies and gentlemen, the Malian armed forces and the Russian African Corps initiated the contact. The JNIM were trying to retreat. They did not want to engage on a 1v1 level. But unfortunately, the ones that tried to escape first, they were able to survive with various degrees of, you know what I mean. But the ones that responded slowly, they were delivered their 72 Virgin at God's speed. And this is just part of the picture. Is all over the place. If you check the Russian African Core Telegram channel, you are going to see the picture of the unalived elements there. So we are now at a point where the FLA can no longer match the capability of the Malian armed forces. They can no longer match the will of the Malian armed forces and the Russian African Corps on the line of contact. Now, I'm going to say this at this point. They've never ever matched the will of the Malian armed forces and the Russian African Corps on the line of contact. You see, they have never been able to match the will, especially of the Russian African Corps. Families, let me tell you at this point, even on the Ukrainian front line, everybody fears the Russian African Corps. We call them Russian African Corps. They call them a different name. You know what they call them. The experience, the level of, the years of experience of the Russian African Corps cannot be contested. They are some of the best in the world. So, I mean, the JNIM know what time it is. But at this point, the political will of the Malian armed forces to completely crush the FLA and the JNIM is higher than ever. The political support from international partners for the Malian armed forces to completely crush the JNIM, most especially from the BRIC partners, is at an all-time high. The only ones that are supporting right now, the only partner that seem to be openly supporting the FLA and the JNIM in Mali is Ukraine and France. Every other president, America is trying to look for a way to renegotiate their way back into the Sahel. But that is a story for another day. So let's continue.
There was equally a football competition between the Malian forces and the Russian African Corps, while the operatives took breaks between combat operations. Okay. So yesterday we saw a video showing Burkina Faso having apples that they do not have. And then today, we're hearing that Mali is the first African country to deploy the Orion drone.
Yeah.
What is that about?
Yeah. Families, we just want to raise your attention to something that is going on right now. The Western media, they are trying to defame Burkina Faso. And I will tell you how, right? They are trying to say things that is not possible. And they are giving a lot of traction to it. All right. If you listen to what some of the Western media have been, personnel have been saying about the situation in the Sahel, they said everything about Captain Ibrahim Traore is AI slobs. All right. They said, there are Russian propaganda. There's Russian propaganda behind Captain Ibrahim Traore. They said everything about him is AI and all of that. So we come across a video yesterday where they said apples are growing in Burkina Faso. Now, can apple grow in Burkina Faso if they are genetically modified apples? Maybe they can grow. All right. If they are genetically modified, maybe they can grow. All right. But anything outside that, apples have not. There is no proof that apples grow in Burkina Faso. But there's this video that is out there that says Burkina Faso is now exporting apple. Apple is growing in Burkina Faso. And it has a lot of view, almost an impossible level of view, right? Now, this is what I'm saying. They are the ones that cook up this type of information. What they're trying to do is to tactically defame Burkina Faso, that the agro-pastoral offensive initiative is not working. And we all know that the agro-pastoral and fisheries offensive initiative in Burkina Faso is working like the clockwork. But what the West is trying to do is to say that, Burkina Faso cannot survive without us. They cannot achieve anything without us. Everything they ever will be is with our support and by our support. So they are saying Apple is great. Now they talked about different things that have been going on in Burkina Faso. And every other thing they said was true. But the headline was that apple is being grown in Burkina Faso. So the topic, the title, everything they used to talk about, they are trying to defame and to rub some mud in the reputation of Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso, under the agro-pastoral offensive initiative that Burkina Faso must feed herself, is the truth. It's working, all right? But they are trying to put some shade on the effort of Burkina Faso. Try to say that everything about Burkina Faso is fake. Trying to say that, there is nothing going on in Burkina Faso, everything is AI. So that is why we're trying to make people come to, the realization that, look, Burkina Faso is doing a lot, but they're trying to discredit Burkina Faso. And these are the hues of the artificial intelligence that is now taking the mainstream right now. Now, listen up. There is another information that we really need to talk about, and that is the Kronstadt Orion drone. All right, I've talked about this Kronstadt Orion drone that came into combat operation in 2020, but was in development for quite a while. And the Kronstadt Orion drone, tactically, we have talked about it on the Android community, and we said it's not a game changer. The Kronstadt Orion drone is not a game changer on the line of contact. You see, the reason why the Kronstadt Orion drone is being deployed in Mali is because the Russian African feels that there is a need to have more than enough capabilities. Every capability in Mali right now is the most important capability. Nothing is sitting ducks in Mali as we speak. As I'm talking to you, I can tell you that there is a chance that some elements have been deleted. As we are talking right now, you all have seen, the proof is in the pudding, that the air vectors of the Malian armed forces is now working on a whole nother level. And guess what? To back up this statement, you've seen what the Malians have done recently. They were able to graduate Rapid Intervention Brigade in the Air Force. Not even infantry special forces, Air Force special forces. That is to tell you that the Malian armed forces wants to invest in maintaining area supremacy at all time, because they are landlocked. So one of the best ways for them to make sure that militarily they can hold their own, is to invest heavily in their Air Force. And you can see they now have, some different detachments in their Air Force. So what we have with the Kronstadt Orion drone is the Malian armed forces and the Russian African Corps, they want to saturate the JNIM and the FLA completely. Now, before, we talked about the fact that the JNIM, they were working through parallel networks. The fact that the Malian armed forces and the Russian African Corps have shut out this parallel network needs that they need to intensify their surveillance and reconnaissance along these parallel logistic routes. That you destroy them, that you've dislodged them, does not mean they are not coming back. So the enemies are going to come back because you've just taken their home away from them. You've taken their money away from them. When you take the money away from an individual, it's as if you've taken the life out of that individual. So they're going to come back. And they believe that they are mujahids. That when you delete them, they're going to get 72 virgins. And they believe that physiologically, from a physiologic standpoint, by the time they cross over with some TNTs, that, there's this physiologic talk that, this thing is going to remain operational, and it's not going to, So what we have in Mali right now, a lot of people have been talking about the Kronstadt Orion, and I feel like the Android community needs to know the truth. There is an information that Mali is the first country to deploy the Kronstadt Orion in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, that is negative. The first country to deploy the Kronstadt Orion in Africa is Ethiopia. The second country to deploy the Kronstadt Orion in Africa is Algeria. And the Algerian armed forces deployed the Kronstadt Orion in the Boj Baji Mukhtar region of Algeria, which is southwestern of Mali, closer to the Tinzawantin. Now you ask a $1 billion question. Why did it happen that the FLA has been able to have a good surveillance and reconnaissance of the Kidal region, even when they were not in Kidal? Why did you think? And Kronstadt Orion is cheap. There are some Kronstadt Orion that is just $2 million. The maximum amount is $5 million. It's as if you're having the Baratia TB2 drone. So, like I said, Mali is a country. Mali has the most superior arsenal in the AES. Just to let you know, Mali and Burkina Faso before they both had two Baratia Akinci drone. Then after Algeria shut down the two Baratia Akinci drone in Tinzawantin, with a case that is currently in the International Criminal Court, where the Algerians have not been able to, they've not been able to vindicate themselves in their complicity towards terrorism in Mali. The Malian armed forces showed their financial capability by buying 6 Baratia Akinci drones. And on the Andre community, we provided the receipts. Mali is so rich to the point that Mali gave a whole Baratia Akinci drone to Mopti. They dedicated a whole Baratia Akinci drone to the Mopti region. And a lot of people are putting a lot of balls behind the Kronstadt Orion. And I've said also on the Andre community that the Kronstadt Orion is not even as good as the Baratia TB2 drone. The Kronstadt Orion can carry up to 200 kilograms of warhead from the UPAB to the FAB-50 to the KAB-50 and the KAB-20. And you can use the SM-8000 capability for the Kronstadt Orion. So the maximum TNT it can carry is 200 kilograms. But there are some maneuvers. The modern type of FAB, of a Kronstadt Orion that has been made by the Russian African Corps, by the Russian forces, can carry up to 250. And the only reason why I can carry 250 is when you had another capability to under the you have to put the last one under the drone. What do they call that part of the drone? Yeah. You have to put it under the drone. That's the last space, and it's like they create. It's like you are using a non-conventional methodology to create that space. It's not supposed to be there. So people are putting a lot of balls behind it, as if it's a game. No, family, we all know on the Andre community, it's not a game changer. But remember what I said. I said it's not a game changer, all right? But every capability right now in Mali is the most important capability. Let's establish that fact right now. There's a lot of disinformation going on along with it. And it's our job to bounce the propaganda. The Kronstadt Orion was deployed in Mali because the Malian armed forces want to end this war. Remember what Assimi Goïta said? Assimi Goïta said, we are going to hunt the elements to the highest mountain and we are going to hunt them to the lowest part of the mountains in Mali. We are going to hunt them to the end of Mali. So when you're making that type of bold and emphatic statement, it means you are ready to go to the kitchen sink with the enemy. And what does that mean? It means that Assimi Goïta have decided to use all the necessary capability within the arsenal of the Malian armed forces to destroy the enemy. And that is why the Kronstadt Orion drone is also going to be important, because it equally carries a devastating firepower. Because 250 kiloton of TNT with 5 different capabilities that are laser guided. Because some of the terrains that we've seen the Kronstadt Orion drone being deployed, there is a lot of you need a lot of maneuver. You need experience. You can't just use the drop drones in those regions. It's not going to work because the wind speed is very high. So everything you are going to be using around Mali right now has to be laser guided. It has to hit the target. Experience is needed. Yes. That's why the Russian African Corps are the ones using it right now. Does it belong to the Malians? I don't think so. I think the Russian African Corps is just using it on their own to intensify the offensive. All right? It is not like no. The Malian armed forces has the best capability. In fact, across West Africa right now, because among all the drones in Africa right now, the Baratia Akinchi drone is the most lethal offensively. The Tayak Songo does not carry the kiloton, does not have the capability to carry the firepower that the Baratia Akinchi can carry. You can carry more than 12 TNTs on the Baratia Akinchi drone. It carries about 1,500 kilograms of warhead. That is the maximum capability of the Baratia Akinchi. So, I mean, the Malian armed forces they are currently performing, and for Mali to have 6 Baratia Akinchi drone, to whom much is given, much is expected. They have gold. They have a very big territory. All right. And they have good capabilities to be able to manage the crisis in Mali. But the Kronstadt Orion is not a game changer. So the people that are lying that Mali is the first country to deploy it, no. Algeria, Ethiopia, they've deployed it before. Mali has better capabilities. Way better capabilities. So let people not come and talk about this Kronstadt Orion and see if it's going to. No. And the Malians have been managing their escalation properly. They've been managing it very, very well. You can't see me. Families, the thing is, I'm not feeling too well today. And I have to sit down. Like, I'm really, really dealing with some issues. I just finished taking drip. And if I stand up too much, it's an issue. If I look into bright lights, it's an issue for me right now, but I don't know. The doctor told me to even rest today, but I said we must do a live stream, and that was why I said she should anchor the live stream. That I'm just going to be behind the scenes speaking. Um, but finally, I'm animated and I'm even looking at the lights right now. I don't know if the consequences are going to be detrimental, but here we are. So thank you by design for the donation. We really appreciate, and we appreciate the fact that you appreciate what we do. So really, you are a very solid one. Michael Charles, Cryptography Talk, Manera, Rosie Angel, everyone on the Android community, we really, really want to appreciate you. You all have played a very crucial role in the development of this community. Kidal is finished. Yeah, absolutely. Kidal right now is finished. But the reason why the Malian armed forces have not moved into Kidal, right? By design. Oh, thank you so much for the donation by design. I really appreciate. Now, all right. Terry, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I see you in the comment always, participating and keeping our lives very active. Really appreciate your contribution. Everybody in the Android community will really appreciate you, man. So let me say this, right? A lot of people are asking a question, right? And I need to take this opportunity to answer this question, right? People say that why has the Malian armed forces not moved into Kidal, right? If they have been able to decimate the JNIM capability in Kidal, why have they not moved in? The billion-dollar question is, why should they move in? Do they need to move in? No. Are they behind on schedule? No. The Malian armed forces, they are taking this. Look, what the Malian armed forces is doing right now is a sort of very, very different type of attrition. Attrition warfare, you go slowly. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rosie Angel. In attrition war, you go slowly. You go very slowly. But you make sure you destroy the enemy personnel capability. You want to demilitarize the enemy. You want to break the enemy spiritually. You want to break the ideology of the enemy. You want to make the enemy see no reason to continue to escalate, right? But in Mali, what you have It's a high intensity attrition. Were they doing this before the April 25 offensive? I don't think so. But right now, the Malian armed forces have decided to go all out. The Malians is throwing everything at the FLA, including the kitchen sink. And the evidence of the frustration of the FLA is out there. Now, let me tell you this. Oh, thank you so much, by design. now, now the FLA is doing something. What are they doing? The FLA is by design is confusing me. But anyway, the FLA is they the FLA,
Pay attention.
the FLA, in the Kidal region, they are crying out. And the reason why they are crying out is that this contest is not being negotiated on an even footing. I have the FLA in the Android community. Don't think they are not here. They have told me before not to call them terrorist groups. They said they are not. They have been on this community. We did not give them the attention and have not been hearing their cries anymore. So if they are watching, we have the facts. The FLA is not contesting on the... See, what do they have? They have rifles. They have, 4x4 trucks. They have vehicles mounted with GPMGs. The Malian armed forces have destroyed these capabilities completely. We have so many videos of drone strikes on bases, on fuel logistics in Kidal, but you end up seeing that the environment is empty. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the donation. Thank you so much. So what you have is that the Kidal region, by design, this is for... Thank you so much. This is for the lady. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the donation. So what you have in the Kidal region is that the Kidal region is currently empty with the FLA. Now, where did they move to? They moved to the Bogbaji Mukhtar region in Algeria. And a lot of them have moved to the southwestern part of Libya, called the Fezzan Desert. And this region has been abandoned for the Bedouin tribes of Libya and Algeria, together with northern part of Algeria and Mali. So, and look, the Tuareg is not completely bad for the books. Agachara Tuamain is a Tuareg. There are Tuaregs that are fighting for the Malians because they refuse to be manipulated by the French. What did the French do to the Tuareg to cause this confusion? The French told them recently that how do you want to still be governed by black people? This is what France said. People that have lived for many years, you told them that, oh, why do you still want... And in this situation, you have to go to the battlefield. It's not negotiable at this point anymore. So there was an information that came out today. There's a notification out there that there was a Tuareg fighter in the FAMA that deserted with Malian equipment. Now, I'm going to say this. A lot of people are surprised with the desertion. But I just want to let you know, the reason why the Tuareg fighters in the Malian fold, some of them might desert right now, is because the Tuaregs, they lack the personnel capability to continue this war. They lack the personnel capability. What did they say recently? They said they were going to be moving on the Ageok base. They said they were going to be launching an offensive operation on the Ageok. Have we seen an offensive? No. The reason why there's no offensive is because they don't have the personnel capability. They don't have the mechanical wherewithal to launch an offensive. They don't have it. So everything right now is empty threats. And when they made that threat, what did the Malians do? The Malians flattened the building where there was an intelligence that was given to the Malian armed forces that the son of Agachara Tuamain and Agachara Tuamain himself was staying in that building. Malian flattened it out. That's what you get for the threats you make. And the Malians are going about this business the right way, and they're going with so much impunity right now. And the reason why they're doing it is because there's a popular political will within the Malian society for the Malian government to go to the kitchen sink with the terrorists. Just knock them out completely. Because come to think of it, They are soft targeting. They are harming civilians. If you've seen some of the videos of their horrors and crime, you will know that there is no negotiation with these fools. So that's where we are at right now in Mali. And the Malian armed forces right now, there will be no negotiation. And this has further affected the position of France in Mali. Because France made a mistake. And what mistake did they make? The French made a very big mistake of putting their support, obviously, behind the FLA. Because based on their calculation, they felt like the Malian armed forces was not going to be able to match the intensity, the logistic, the preparation, the reconnaissance that was given to them by Western intelligence, the foreign mercenaries that were, the Ukrainians that were in the French Foreign Legion that were backing up the FLA. They were in Mali. They crossed through Mauritanian border. But what they did not anticipate was the counter-offensive and the speed of the counter-offensive. Now, there was this guy called History Legend. I don't know if a lot of you have been watching his channel. He said that some of the strikes on April 25 that was launched by the Russian African Corps and the Malian Armed Forces, that was part of the counter-offensive that came from the southern part of Mali. As the Malians were trying to arrest the situation. He said that some of those strikes were not creating a maximum casualty situation. And when you think of what that situation meant, that was a guy that guy has no understanding about combat. You see, some of those strikes that day was to scare the terrorists to move away from civilian regions. The Malians strike some positions that day just to make sure the terrorists move out of civilian position. And when they moved out of civilian position, what happened? What did the Nigerian Air Force do? What did the Burkinabe Air Force do? What did the Unified AES forces do? These are people that don't have the details. I went to check the Western intelligence source about what is going on in Mali yesterday. The last information they have was back in 2023. In 2026, they don't have the information anymore because they don't even have any sources they don't have any information source on the ground. So it baffles me why some people still listen to Western intelligence or Western media for credible information about Mali at this point. You want to barb my hair. You did not ask from me how to barb my hair. So, this is where we are today. This is what is going on right now. Oh, thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the family. And what we are doing on the Android community is called information warfare. This is not just journalism, please. Journalism is you follow some channel that have popularity, that have, huge following. Whatever they say, all right, either true or false, you regurgitate it back to the people. You don't, because they said it automatically means it is correct. Even if there is an agenda behind the information, even if we are living in the era, all right, where, information, every information that you see out there has a strategic purpose. Don't watch. See, you have to become tactical right now. I call the people in the Android community, I call them tactical civilians. I call the Android community a tactical community where we look at things from a different standpoint. Propaganda is a weapon. Every information has an agenda behind it. Every information. Gone are the days where you watch news and you think everything you are listening to. See, if you look, 99% of the information out there right now is garbage. All right? You cannot believe they say there is Ebola in DRC. That is the peripheral. But have you searched? Have you go into the? Have you dig down into the bag? What you find right there is that the Ebola, the new strain, is a biological weapon that was created by the people that are trying to, you know, impose themselves on the Democratic Republic of Congo's sovereign rights and decisions. They've infiltrated the political decision-making centers in DRC, but they're not tired. Look, if you think these people are tired, they are ever going to be tired of domination, they're never going to be tired. That's what hegemons do. That's what hegemons only see. This is how they live. This is how they breathe. This is how they are able to maintain that lifestyle. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, what you have in Mali right now is an all-out war against the JNIM, and they cannot match up. And I said something. All right. Families, I'm saying I cannot be center screen today because if I look too much into the screen, it's going to affect me. It's going to affect me. I'm going to start having a headache. And the drip on my arm. All right. Yeah, thank you so much. Where am I? So, I want to say something, right? I want to say something. And that's going to be my last statement for today. I know a lot of people won't agree with me, but this is what I believe. Mali took the bullet. You see, Mali took the 50 cal for the rest of the region on April 25. Nigerians, I know you are watching me. You see the recent escalation in Nigeria, right? What are the government? What are they doing about it? If the government choose to escalate in Nigeria, what result are we going to get? All right? But in Mali, it was pound for pound. It was blood for blood, right? They went all out against themselves. And we can see the result right now. You don't control this scourge. You don't control this epidemic that we now have all over Africa. Just in some places in Africa that is not present. And what can you say about tomorrow, right? You don't confront brutality with negotiation. You don't match brutality with peace. No. If the escalation in the Middle East was coming with 10,000, kilojoules, right? What did the Iranians do? The Iranians matched the Israeli aggression with equal aggression. You don't match aggression with peace deals. You match aggression with aggression. It's good. They call it blood for blood for a reason. They call it eye for eye. Mali is not going eye for eye. Mali is going and eye for the entire head. And that is why they are making the progress they are making right now. So the civilians, the enemies try to soft targets to distract the Malians, to stretch them. But the Malians, they put their hands on the deck. They put their attention. They put it together. They maintain their focus. Kidal will fall. It has fallen. But is it reasonable for the Malian armed forces to send in their troops to Kidal right now? No. It is simple. You are dealing with asymmetric war elements. So what do? Asymmetry is supposed to counter the capability of conventional superiority. So the best way you match asymmetry is to deploy asymmetric methodology. So what is the Malians doing now? They are using asymmetric air vectors, which are drones. Are there fighter jets that can fly for 40 hours? Are there fighter jets that can fly for 60 hours? Hell no. You need a refueling tanker. There are some fighter jets that cannot fly for 20 minutes. But Mali, Baraktia Akinci can fly for 27 hours. The Tai Aksongo of Niger can fly for 60 hours. The TB2 can fly from 25 to 27. The Orion Kronstadt can fly from 27. For 27 hours, I'm not talking about minutes, they are in the sky, locking and chirping. So you match asymmetry for asymmetry. You don't negotiate.
Mali is bashing people. All right. So what I'm doing right here, I'm not a journalist. We are launching what they call information warfare. What the enemies of Mali is doing is what you call media terrorism. Have you ever heard about information terrorism before? Where they say things, they provide information to put you in a dark place. They give you some information that will make you think, should I move forward? Am I capable of moving forward? Things that make you question your own progress. Does this make any sense? Is this all worth it? Should I go back to my vomit? Should I go back to France and beg? Hell no, nobody's begging right here. Some 12,000 machineries will not destroy a 21 million strong farmer. Have you heard? Every Malian is a farmer. And you know the good side of it? The Malians, they love their farmer. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, and yeah, before we go, our brothers in Burkina Faso have learned the hard way. I'm talking about the Mujahids in Burkina Faso. All right, the brothers that said that they will not follow the law in Burkina Faso. They will not follow the order. You know, they have got, see, the level of training right now. I can tell you that if those brothers are thrown to the front line, they are going to perform. You know, they are now very fit. I believe some of them can lead the parade. You know, when they throw you in a military boot camp, you know what they do to your hair. You know how you look when you go for military training. You become they reborn. You are you are reborn. That is what we have in Burkina Faso right now for those beautiful brothers. And Captain Ibrahim Traore. They've suspended I think the activities of those Sunni Salafists in the capital city, right? They've suspended it for the next 3 weeks. You know, when they come back, they have to come back as normal human beings. Burkina Faso is a secular state. Like, Burkina Faso is a state where everybody has the freedom of religion. They have freedom of movement. You can do whatever. See, you can do whatever righteous thing you think you can do in Burkina Faso, as long as it's within the confines of the law. Nobody is going to terrorize anybody. Nobody is going to call anybody a munafik in Burkina Faso. Captain Ibrahim Traore is a Muslim. So for all you, for all those sheikhs out there, I know some of them are watching me right now and be like, yeah, no. He's a Muslim. So he's in the best, the Burkina Faso have said, that is why I'm here. Burkina Faso have said that they will not tolerate any nonsense, and I can promise you, you see that behavior, that bad behavior will not happen again in Burkina Faso. Something happened recently in UK. A lot of people, when it's Africa, everybody talks as if Africa does not, it's not a good place. No, Africa is a good place. A lot of you can see what is going on in the UK, right? The protests, where a Sudanese immigrant was trying to decapitate, someone in the United Kingdom. You saw the protest. You see the whole place. It became a pottery, right? But in Burkina Faso, before you turn the whole place upside down, you are going to visit the front line. If you have that energy, right? If you think you have some energy to destroy law and no, don't worry. There's a lot of JNIM for you to use that energy on for target practice. And they are going to give you the training. Don't worry. You go to that front line. Either you go for Faso Mebo, or if your strength is so, formidable, you have to visit the front line. Maybe they put you in somewhere like the Petekole region, so you go and give us some with our looks. Andre, what happened to our looks? No. Families, you see, let me tell you something, right? There is no way we are going to do it. We need everybody. All right. I want to harmonize her with you. Okay, this is what I'm doing now. Thank God that by design already know her. Thank God that D's know her. Thank God that Terry knows her now. Thank God everybody knows her now. I'm trying to harmonize her with you. Okay, there are days I've been sick. I was having fever. My temperature was very high. I was shaking, and I was still performing. Right, and I've gone out. I've been out there to scout for talent, but people talk. But what we do on the Android community is different. We talk high level military analysis. So you hardly find people that can do this. So thank you so much, Deadly. Thank you so much for the donation. Thank you so much. So I have to bring her. She did not even want to come, but I have to bring her here by force. Like, you have to do this. Let me just tell you one thing that I always know. I don't sleep well sometimes. Sometimes when I give you some top secret information, before I go to bed, I start asking myself, man, have I not done too much right now? Like, I'm always on top of even with what I do, I know how dangerous what I do is for my own security. Oh, thank you so much, family. I know how dangerous what I do is for my family, all right? So, and for me, you think if those people can get me, you think they will hesitate, right? So I'm the kind of person that I've decided that, yeah, whatever happens, happens. But we need to get more people to join this game, all right? So I used to tell her, but she used to say she doesn't agree with me, that what if something happens to me, right? You should be able to continue. So you have to come in, you have to you have to harmonize yourself with the people. The people have to know you. It doesn't matter, you have to try. And the Android community is here for you. They're going to support you the best way they can. Like they also supported me, out here we are today. The Android community is getting bigger. So I mean, the panic is not going to be there anymore. You want to see me, it's better you see her, because what if something happens to Android? Who is going to continue?
Yes, who will continue?
So that is why uh I'm trying to make sure I'm going to be around, right? I'm going to be around. I've always been around, Android cannot always Andre cannot always be here, right? Andre cannot, I'm here, right? But what if something happens, right? So I'm the kind of person that I believe anything can happen at any time. I'm just another mortal being and all of that. Doing my best for my people, um, good people, sometimes they are, you just know what I'm saying, right? So if I can get 7 people, if I can get 10, 20, 30, if you can create channels, if you are interested, you come, I will give you information. We need to see, I don't even think we're enough. I think we need more people. Because the people we are going against, they don't sleep. The people we are going against are not tired. And in the day, and in the era of AI, and it is how people just believe everything, right? We need to be here. If I am not working, someone else has to fill in the gap. Okay. So, family, I want to appreciate you. I want to say thank you for your support. Today's support is massive. And to be honest, for the first time I'm going to say this, I really appreciate your support. Like, by design and every, like, no, I don't even, I can't see the names of those that donated, but man, all of you, no, you are so phenomenal. And you know what you did today? You showed her that the Android community is no joke. No. Look at the donation. My community is not playing. So I really I really want to appreciate the Android community. And the Android community has never disappointed. And please, we need your support. There is not Mr. Nelson. Yeah. You know the names now, right? So the Andre community, I just want to say this, right? Regardless of what I know, regardless of what I can do, yeah, by design, yeah. um, we need you, we need your support because people get tired. Mentally, people get drowned out sometimes, right? But we need your support. Um, for Mali, every support is most important support. For DRC, every support is important. For Benin Republic, for President Romuald Wadagni, every support is important. Now, before I go, I have to address something. A lot of people are telling me that why am I supporting President Romuald Wadagni? Oh, she's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of people say, why am I supporting President Romuald Wadagni? Why am I putting my weight behind him? Family, do you know what I'm doing? First of all, I love President Romuald Wadagni because he's young. Secondly, I love him because he's an African and I feel comfortable around Africans. All right. Now, what we are doing in the Andre community, what I'm doing is I am enforcing our support for President Romuald Wadagni. If any of his loyalists can hear us, what we are doing is called strategic support. Like I said, the Andre community is a tactical community. So what we are doing is we are intentionally throwing our support behind him, not because we completely trust him, because we are waiting for him to do the expected. Because what people are saying now is that he's going to disappoint. So we are intentionally backing him not to disappoint. Sometimes when the enemy is pressuring the leader to betray, and you are equally telling the leader that with our support, you will not betray, it becomes very, very difficult for the leader to betray. But if the enemy wants him to betray, and you boldly call him a traitor, then it will be like, oh, they already called me a traitor, so let me betray. No, we are backing President Romuald Wadagni to perform. Everybody wish, no. Andre community is backing him as the next big thing in West Africa. All right? France wants us to hate him. They want us to call him a failure. No, we are calling him the incoming success because we know he's going to perform. So what we are doing is called supporting our brother from a strategic standpoint. And we have nothing but love for our Beninois brother. We love them so much. We love the Beninois. We love our Beninois people. Yeah, if Asimi Goita is working with him. So, a lot of people, when we said he was going to travel to Mali, a lot of people say, why has he not traveled to Mali? Why did he? The Malians, like I've always said here, if you can hand the trust of the Malians, don't betray them. Don't betray them because they hardly trust people. And the reason why they hardly trust people is because they've been through a lot. Don't betray them. It's hard for the Malians to trust. With all the aggrandizement of the Algerians, the Malians said no. All right? Because the Malians know what Algeria represents. So if Assimi Goïta can say, come, brother, let us sit on the round table. Let us talk. Let us make peace. Let us do the best for our people. Let us make the diaspora proud. So that whatever happens in future, they have a good home to come back to. So that their children have a good home to come back to. You get what I'm saying? So that is why we need President Romuald Wadagni. It doesn't matter. We have 3 good leaders. We need more leaders. We don't hate all the African leaders. We need them to change. Some of them have betrayed. They can apologize. We have to open the door for apology. We have to build good relationship. We talk about United Africa. Sometimes we have to give our people the chance. Because some of these people, they've committed so much crime that they are even scared to confess. And this is how the West is able to threaten them. That what if we expose you? The people are going to eat you up alive. But want to let you know that we want to give them that support. That don't worry, we are not going to eat you alive. Do you get what I'm saying? We want to support. We want to see what we are doing is we're coming from different strategic angles, and I'm telling you, this is what has always happened. We will expose you. Who do they want to expose them to? It's our business. They are not going to expose them to the Canadians. What is their business with African, geopolitics? The people that are going to feel disappointed is us. So we are saying that we are going, regardless of what you've done, it's not too late. So President Roman Rodagny is a fresh starter and is putting in the right foot. And this is how you start a show. And we are telling President Roman Rodagny that he has our support. I think right now he's looking like one of the biggest presidents in Africa. You can see the way he's moving. He's getting all the love. France is getting all the hate. So President Roman Rodagny should sit back and look at it. What type of story will be written in my name when I am gone? Because where your money, where the 4 years presidential tenure cannot take you, the memories of the good things you've done will take you there. So families, representing the Android community today is Flo and Android. I want to thank everybody once again. Today's support was different. I have to say this. Today's support was different. Even if I was not feeling fine, it got to a point I became animated. Yeah, this is the energy that you showed us, and thank you so much. Really appreciate it. God bless you, man.